Okay, so finally our game is functioning the way it's supposed to. We've got nothing more to do. Everything's perfect. So I'm just going to grab Bob and I'm going to come down here. Do you hear that? Oh, okay, well, I'm going to grab Bob and, okay, swap to this guy. Okay. Well, I'm going... okay. You see, the problem is that we've set this trigger up to be triggered multiple times, but there's nothing to actually tell this trigger that we don't need it anymore in Kismet. And in fact, if I trigger it again, we have a bit of an overflow issue until we get this Bob out of the way. And get that Bob out of the way. There we go. So you can see that if we don't fix this up, sooner or later our game just becomes pretty ridiculous. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell this trigger that we don't need it until Bill and Bob die and we need to respawn Bob again. So the way that I'm going to do that is with a toggle. You can find that under New Action, Toggle, Toggle. The toggle node switches things on or off. You can see the inputs are turn on, turn off, or toggle, so that if it's on, switch it off, if it's off, switch it on. And the targets, or the things that you can affect, are a basic object target, a boolean you can set to true or false, or an event. This is what we need to plug into our trigger touch event. Now, in order to switch this touch event off, we need to fire off the turn off input once this has been triggered the first time. What we could do is drag a wire all the way from touched back to turn off, and that would that would be effective. It would work. But firstly, we've got this ugly wire that's crossing over everything, and also when we want to switch this trigger back on, we'd have to hit this turn on input from all the way over here where our characters are dying. And I don't want to drag a wire that far. So what I'm going to do is I'll just cancel that out, and I will create a couple of new event, remote event. And I'm going to plug one of these into the turn on and one of these into the turn off. The turn on event name will be enable spawner, and I'll set the switch off event name to disable spawner. Okay. Now in order to fire these off, all I'll need is a new action event activate remote event, and I'll plug this into the touched output, and the event name will be disable spawner. You can see that we have a green check mark, which means that it has found that disable spawner remote event. I'm now going to copy that. I'll just come up here and I'm going to paste a copy here and change that to enable spawner, because this is when we need the trigger to be switched back on. Control C, Control V. and just plug this guy into here. And now, if we test everything out, you can see that we can switch to Bob. He comes down the ramp, and nothing happens. That switch is now disabled. So I'll just bring this guy back here. Now last time we tested Bob, that when Bob dies, Bill will also die. This time we'll kill Bill and kill Bill, and we will see if Bob dies. And it works. And when we respawn, the trigger is re-enabled and disabled. So there we go. Everything is working. Okay, now these activate, or these remote events are quite a powerful tool in Kismet. If we look at our network, we can see that it is getting quite long and quite complicated. And also, if we wanted to add anything new to our network in the middle here, we'd have to move these things out of the way to give us space in order to put those things in. So supposing we wanted to split this up into smaller, more manageable pieces, we can do that with remote events. For example, this section of the network here deals with Bob dying and killing Bill off so that we can restart or respawn in the level. We can, in fact, separate this out from our main network, and we can activate this with a remote event. So I'll just come in here to Event and Remote Event, and I'm going to plug that into there. I'm going to call this Bob Dies, and instead of having an actual connection to that part of the network, we can activate a remote event, and the remote event will be Bob Dies, and plug that into there. And now we can put this anywhere we want. In fact, if we wanted to separate this out and so that we know what this section is and what it's about, we can actually add a comment. And so we select our nodes, and we can either tap the C key to add a comment, or we can right click on the background and just say new comment. The comment will be Bob died, kill Bill. Okay, so now we could set up a whole bunch of these different comments, each one with a descriptive title, so that we can just jump to the section that we need. Another way to split things up is with subsequences. So I'll just delete that comment, and what I'll do is I'll create a subsequence out of these guys. And so just select all of those, right click on the background and create new sequence, and the subsequence will be Bob Dies. And so now we have everything wrapped up in this nice neat little package. And when we created it with an input from the outside world, it automatically created this sequence activated event. These nodes are essentially the same as adding an input to this main or to this subsequence. So that's remote events, commenting, and subsequences. So you can use those in your networks. I'm going to put things back the way they were, just so that for the purposes of this tutorial, it's easy to follow along the chain of events.